Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte Jean, and today I'm going to share my very personal health journey with you. The steps that I took to become healthy, the things that I needed to do, the lessons that I needed to learn, and I hope that from today you yourselves will be encouraged and motivated to be able to learn from what I experienced and to fast track your own health. So my journey to health was a very long one. It started off before I was born. And I thought if I ever write a book one day, it's going to have the opening sentence, "I died before I was born," because that's what happened. My mom miscarried with me, and she was actually termed infertile, and 7 years into her marriage she conceived me, but at about 6 months she miscarried with me, and the doctors wanted to perform a normal routine procedure to remove whatever tissue was left. And she insisted that they didn't, and they said to her, well, they had to do it the next morning. They kind of palmed her off as a hysterical woman and gave her another 12 hours, and the next morning the doctors came round, and then more doctors came round, and then more doctors excuse me, and they kept running tests, and eventually they said, we don't know how this happened, but your baby has the strongest heartbeat we've ever heard. So I was brought back. I sometimes laugh about how my stalk got lost before I even came. And that was the beginning of my story as a child. When I was born with an underdeveloped liver, which led to severe jaundice, and I was in ICU for a week before my parents could take me home. And due to that, there was just a whole series of exposures to antibiotics. I had constant asthma. Nearly to have had a tracheotomy when I was about 3 years old. Several things happened, and throughout the course of my life I almost died. Very much emphasis on almost, more than 10 times. And it was just a constant recurrence of upper respiratory tract infections, bronchitis, and every childhood disease or illness I had to the nth degree, which landed me up in hospital, and doctors never knew how to treat me. The most extreme part of my health was in 2007, when my liver started shutting down and I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue immunodysfunction syndrome, otherwise known as ME, which is just a broad name for a range of diseases that don't fit anywhere. They just call them broad spectrum immunodysfunction diseases. So my liver started shutting down, my heart stopped working, my hair started falling out, and I went from doctor to doctor to do various tests, but there was the inability to find anything that they could actually treat, and obviously lots of antibiotics, which made me feel even more sick, and there was no end in sight. I just became more and more ill, and with that kind of diagnosis you have a 3 to 5 year lifespan, and I was 27 and facing mortality. So my port of call came through a friend, not someone that I knew very well, but someone that I'd met and I could identify with, because her childhood was very similar to mine. It was racked with trauma, with physical trauma, and also dysfunctions within her family, and she was able to recommend me to a doctor who she'd gone to see, a Polish doctor who was just practicing experimental medicine. And I went to what I was wondering, I was hoping was not a strange place, but I knew that if I didn't try this treatment there were no other options. And so when I went there, he looked at me, was able to diagnose me extremely accurately without any medical history. I fitted the profile. I started the treatment, and it was basically concentrated doses of micronutrients, a complete change to my food, a complete change to my lifestyle, to my stress levels for 12 months. Extreme concentrations, very expensive, very militant, but it was an all or nothing approach. So after the turning point in my own health, I realized that I had a desperate need for more knowledge, to know the truth from all the controversy. And so I studied clinical nutrition, herbology, exercise science, Pilates, even natural birth coaching, things that I felt were so important to know for me, but then for everyone else. And those gave me real tools to help me in my passion to help others. And that has become my life's calling. So join me as I look for truer answers and better questions and share the knowledge that I've gained to help you on your own health journey.